I think that Pete Muscat's put the claimer on to get the 2.5 kilos off, so it comes down to 58. Because sometimes these horses win a maiden and then win another race, and they.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow and Sully CROTTY. Sully, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. Game plan today. Talk a little stakes action from yesterday. Nice stakes card at Gulfstream, certainly. There was one also I wanted to pull up from Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had a nice stakes card over there too. They had the inaugural for 2-year-olds. Usually I would pull up some of the 2-year-old races. Fun to watch. This had the inaugural. Even going in, it didn't look like a strong field. Coming out, I don't know whether those are 2-year-olds to watch. So I didn't pull that one up, but I pulled up World of Trouble from Tampa, so we'll take a look at that. So some Gulfstream, some Tampa, some Florida stakes yesterday. As I say, it was a nice stakes day, certainly down in Florida with some various stakes around the country, but we'll concentrate on those Florida stakes in the first segment, give some ideas for this afternoon. And then the end of the program, our friend KLAUS EBNER from Woodbine. I thought last day of the Woodbine meet, why not have somebody from Woodbine come in, a little meet recap.
Right, yeah, you know, KLAUS is awesome, great guy, and he's always great to us, the 2 trips we go up there. And, you know, that's a long meet for Woodbine.
Yeah.
So, you know, 14 races on the card, a 1 o'clock post, so they'll be running well into the darkness up in Toronto.
But they do have the lights.
They do.
The tracks with the lights, don't worry about that. I thought about that. It was last night or the night before. I had my TV on after I got home, and they were still doing Churchill. And not Churchill, Fairgrounds. Churchill does the same thing, though. Well, these tracks with lights this time of year. I often think, I wonder if the fans really are more, let me get home in daylight this time of year. But once you have the lights, they don't, they're like, yeah, we can run a couple extra races.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
14 on a Sunday. So
if you cash, you're happy with it.
Absolutely.
So if you cash your ticket, you don't care if there are lights or no lights. But again, that'll be the game plan for the show today. I want to thank our friends at Gulfstream for their sponsorship. Gulfstream Park, champions start here. And again, we'll take a look at some of the Gulfstream stakes in just a minute. I wanted to go back to Friday, though, for a moment. I talked a little bit about it at the top of the show yesterday, but I had a guest lineup, so I didn't get a chance to really kind of emphasize. But going back to Friday, the bounty bet, man, that was a lot of fun on Friday.
Yeah.
With the mandatory $1,730. If you're not familiar with our bounty promotion, it's pretty much every other week kind of a thing. We alert you certainly in the week that it's coming up. But a Friday afternoon, it's a pick 4 at one of the tracks we pick up. We let you know which track this past Friday, and typically it's NYRA. It's Aqueduct or Belmont, Saratoga. But occasionally it's other tracks as well. This past Friday it was the late pick 4 at Aqueduct. All you have to do is play with your Capital OTB bet account, and you're in for a shot at the bounty, the prize pool we put together. If there's only one winning ticket, and again, you're only playing against people playing via their Capital OTB bet account. If there's only one winning ticket, you pull down the whole bounty, and that's happened a couple of times so far.
Yep.
Otherwise, a portion of the bounty, if there are multiple winners, a portion of the bounty gets split between those players, and then the remainder rolls over to the next. Well, Friday was a mandatory pay, $1,730. I tossed out, it was not a hard sequence. I think a $3 winner, $5 winner, $8 winner, $10 winner. Paid $91 for 50 cents. I tossed a little $24 ticket out on the air, which came through, and so I was happy with my $91. I'm not bounty eligible, being here at Capital OTB, but for the folks who were, you got an extra 41 bucks. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's like an extra 50% bonus on your play. So it's $41 free those folks picked up. So congratulations to everybody who jumped in. And we had a nice little pool of players that kind of jumped up from the previous week playing that late pick 4 at Aqueduct, so worked out for everybody.
Absolutely, and the bounty's going to restart again in a couple weeks after the holidays, so it does grow. The bounty really does grow up to those mandatory pays, so I think it happened a couple times this past year where only one player took down the whole bounty, and the pick 4 on top of that paid a couple thousand, and the bounty itself was at, I think, $1,000, maybe $1,100. So it really is a great promotion to use with your Capital Bets account.
Yeah, it's fun, and again, as I say, you're only playing against the other people playing Capital OTB Bets, so it's a manageable group of people you're competing with, and all you have to do is play with your account and you're in. It's that easy. So keep that in mind the next time the bounty rolls around. Again, we will alert you when we reload the bounty treasure chest. All right, ready to jump in and take a look at some of that stakes action from yesterday?
Absolutely.
Let's start out, and I asked for the entire race for the Harlan's Holiday. If the guys want to fire that up coming out of the gate, it was Audible. Audible at 10 cents to the dollar is going to be the number 1 horse. Here's the way I read this race. I mean, you watch, and the number 1 Audible is going to get kind of towards the back of the pack for Javier Castellano, and will sit here much of the way around. And at Sully, as they came to the backstretch, I kind of had the feeling maybe it's not Audible's day. Mm-hmm. There are 2 ways to ride a horse when you think you have the best horse, and I think Javier Castellano is the one I least prefer. Mike Smith does it a lot. In a situation like you see Audible near the back of the pack, Mike Smith on these types of horses makes his move now. He says, you know what, I got the best horse. We are not going crazy fractions, as you can see at 25. I'm going to go up and take control of this race. And about midway on the backstretch, Mike Smith on a horse that clearly is classier than the bunch will go up and try to get the lead. Oftentimes you see this, though. Castellano's kind of sitting there, and as I say, at this point I'm thinking, well, maybe it's not his day. I mean, he's not even in the mix at this point. Mm-hmm. But as they hit the turn, he starts to make the move. And you say, oh, okay, Audible, Javier just said I have the best horse. I'm going to wait. I'm going to make my move. He does, but he has to go wide. So Audible, the number 1 horse, goes wide. Meanwhile, number 6, Sir Anthony, you can see him coming from the back of the pack there under Brian Hernandez, slips up the rail, which gives him first jump at the top of the stretch. A really crafty ride by Brian Hernandez. So he gets first jump, and subsequently in the lane, Audible can't catch up. See, he's out there wide. And it again, to me, I think Javier Castellano thought, and he's probably correct, he had the best horse. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the best horse doesn't win, particularly with trips like this where the other one gets the sneaky up the rail trip, and Audible had to get that wide move around the turn. I would have much rather he said, I have the best horse. I'm going to go grab control of this race a lot earlier.
Right, and I don't think it was the track condition, because Audible ran great, at the Derby, and the track condition was sloppy, and in a 6-horse race, and Audible's 4 or 5 wide, that's not where you want him to be, even if you do have the best horse in that race. And Audible definitely was the best horse, but as you said, Brian Hernandez just went right up the rail. The horses went wide and kind of made Audible, it was just a tough scenario for Audible to overcome there. But I think it's good to get another race under his belt, because they are going to aim towards the Pegasus, and that's going to be a field where Accelerate most likely is going. Gunnevera is going to run in that race again, who ran 2nd in the Pegasus last year, 2nd in the Breeders' Cup. So I think Audible will be fine in that spot. It's just these prep races can be very sneaky, and if you wanted to beat Audible that day and just put $10 on a different horse or the rest of the field or something like that, you got a $50 horse home. And Brian Hernandez always, he has those type of races where he can blow up those races on these bigger stakes race cards, and we see it all the time at Saratoga. Travers Day, he brought home, I think, a couple $40 horses. So, but just being wide throughout the entire race, I thought Audible just really had his hands full there, and that's definitely not where you want to be, a 5 wide in a 6-horse field.
Yeah, it's Sir Anthony coming out of a couple of wins up at Hawthorne as the short-priced favorite up there, but a state-bred allowance and an optional claimer at Hawthorne. Even if you are the short-priced favorite, getting a couple of nice wins certainly didn't quite stack up with this field, but looked good yesterday again with the sneaky ride up the rail from Brian Hernandez to upset Audible. But again, as you say, it may set up Audible nicely now to go forward for the big purse in the Pegasus. All right, let's move on a little bit later on the card at Gulfstream. The Rampart, this one for the ladies going the 1-turn mile. I like Tappa Tappa Tappa. For much of the race, I thought, oh, I'm in a good spot. The number 3 horse is Tappa Tappa Tappa. Hadn't been seen since April at Keeneland, but was working lights out and threw a triple-digit buyer figure at about this time last year off a similar type of layoff. But Tappa Tappa Tappa, maybe the layoff and the mile distance just kind of caught up, and that one is going to wind up getting past and running third. Electric Force, the number 1, runs second, lightly raced from Chad Brown and Stone Street, but the winner will be number 5, Tequilita, who I had right underneath, off the second place finish in the Pumpkin Pie last time. Might be set up to run well. That's the way it worked out for Michael Matz. Matz in the winner's circle afterwards said this one heading to the breeding shed will be bred to street sense. So nice little Tequilita baby coming up in a couple of years, but a nice performance, nice way to go out, put a bow on the career.
Yeah, it definitely was. And who else other than Louis Size to get a horse home in a stakes race at Gulfstream? And he's just picking up where he left things off last championship meet. As we all know, Louis Size, fantastic down in Florida, wins a ton of races. But I just thought it was a really nice race there. And as you said, Tappa 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 looked like, at the top of the stretch, maybe the horse could get home there, but really nice ride there again by Saez. And Electric Forest, and the connections are great. Obviously, you got Chad Brown and Jose. I like to see that one run another race at that distance.
Yeah, it was only the 4th career start for that horse. I mean, this is with 4 starts, a very lightly raced 3-year-old. You would have to think going into the 4-year-old season, Electric Forest will be one to watch for Chad and Stone Street.
Yeah, and perhaps I don't want to say the sloppy track had anything to do with it, perhaps. And some horses just don't like the sloppy track. That might be the thing, especially with such a lightly raced horse.
All right, let's move on to the My Charmer, and they took some weather yesterday. I was keeping my fingers crossed because the turf races certainly were very nice yesterday, the turf stakes, and they stayed on, luckily, because there was some rain yesterday during the card. But the My Charmer, field of 14 in here. The favorite at 2-1 was La Moneda for Tom Morley. I liked that one. I put that horse on top. And a pretty good performance. Took the lead late, but could not hold off Capla Temptress. I talked to Ron Nicoletti on the show yesterday. He liked Capla Temptress. I didn't use that one. I had no arguments against, but in a big competitive field, I just found some other directions to go. I had Special Event underneath, and that one runs third. So again, it is number 8, Capla Temptress, number 6, La Moneda, number 9, Special Event, number 1, Bellevase runs 4th in here. But a nice performance by the winner, who, as I said, at the 4-1 price, obviously, this horse was taking some action. Ron liked it. I think Brian Nadeau was talking a little bit about this horse as well. I took a little stand again. Brian may have been in the same boat. Now I'm thinking he may have been in the same boat I was in, taking a stand against. But got it done nicely there. Jockey switch from Bravo. Rosario wound up on board. Capla Temptress yesterday. Wins by a chart margin of 1.5 lengths. Again, in a full competitive 14-horse field. That's a nice win.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, $10 even, so that's as balanced as a 4-1 you're going to get. And then on these grass races, especially in the deep fields, and we have seen it all throughout the Gulfstream meet, it is tough to win on the lead. But later on in the card, we did see a wire-to-wire finish with Glorious Empire. But leading up to that race, it was tough to win on the lead with that new turf. It's brand new turf down in South Florida. So, but a really nice performance there by Capla Temptress. I remember seeing that horse run at Keeneland, a little bit disappointing the last time out. So nice to see Capla Temptress get back into the winner's circle.
I thought Dixie Moon might be a little bit interesting too at a price, but from that 13, boy, it's tough from the outside. Dixie Moon, the number 13, winds up 9 to 33-1 in the field of 14. At 33-1, it took a little shot there, but again, wound up 9th in the field for Catherine Day Phillips. All right, the Sugar Swirl. Again, this one, the ladies, this time 6 furlongs to trip, grade 3 event in the Sugar Swirl. And I liked Dream Pauline, and again, on the handicapping show yesterday, Brian Nadeau liked Dream Pauline, Ron Nicoletti liked Dream Pauline. I liked her. I took a little shot, though, on top with Awestruck, the number 2 horse. I was disappointed there. Awestruck, as a 2-1 second choice, runs 5th. It is Dream Pauline, the number 7 horse. See her out here in the Stone Street colors. And again, as I say, I like that horse. I just thought Awestruck might be a little more interesting But Dream Pauline, who finished behind Awestruck last time, I had talked to Karen a few weeks ago about that race at Churchill, had all kinds of traffic trouble in this race. So was eligible to move forward, did. Only the 4th career start, the first graded start of the career. And again, when we talked to Kieran a few weeks ago, he had been considering the La Brea, the grade 1 out in Southern California. He said when we talked to him, it was either that or a stake in New York. She entered in that stake in New York last week and wound up scratching. So I think given that scenario, hey, we're thinking of the grade 1, we're thinking of shipping to Southern California. Maybe we'll go in this little stake in New York. No, you know what? Let's call a plan C, as it were, and try for the graded stake down at Florida. Maybe that said something as well. But in a first stake, graded stake start, and only start number 4 of the career, nice win for Dream Pauline.
Yeah, it definitely was. Dream Pauline, as you saw from the replay, got to the wire just in time there with a really nice effort by Stormy and Brace. Tyler Gaffleon was aboard, and Kathleen O'Connell, you know, Kathleen O'Connell does a great job in Florida, especially in the sprint races, and you know, the betting public kind of took notice of that, went off 5-2, but it's nice to see Stone Street get into the winner's circle after we just saw a replay with a lightly raced Stone Street and Chad Brown horse run a decent race, but it's nice to see those connections get into the winner's circle, and obviously Javier was aboard. So I didn't think the effort last time out was bad at all going into that race, so I think it was the deserving favorite, and the favorite got it done.
Yeah, Dream Pauline on top, as you say. Stormy and Brace coming out of a real dud in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, but that, when you look at the races prior, deserved to be in the mix and winds up second. Pacific Gale, the number 1 horse that ran 3rd there, 30-1 for John Kimmel. That one, I'm a Beyer guy. Buyers-wise, didn't necessarily fit with this group. Did have a couple of sloppy or off-track performances that were okay, and I'm wondering if maybe the track moved that one up a little bit, but that one does complete the trifecta, as I say, at 30-1. All right, the highlight of the afternoon, and again, talking to Ron and talking with Brian Otto on the handicapping show yesterday, we all kind of agreed, wow, what an addition to the Fort Lauderdale this was. Grade 2 event, mile and an 1/8. And then, for me, completely fell apart because I hate this kind of scenario. But you could see it on the page, and that's why I didn't use Glorious Empire, because you can see it on the page, so you think, well, everybody sees it on the page. The other owners and trainers and jockeys, somebody will go with Glorious Empire. But no, we see just what we saw in the 2 stakes up at Saratoga. Glorious Empire, who escapes at 7-1. The number 1 horse goes out and trots all the way around under Edgar Prado, and as you can see, by the time they get to the top of the stretch, the rest of them, what were they doing? How do they let it? It's so frustrating, these front-end scores like this. But number 4, Kurban, runs a decent second for Kieran and Shadwell, and High Happy, the number 5, runs 3rd in here for Todd Pletcher, but there was no competition for the winner. I mean, you could see it from the top of the stretch. Hey, I could see it from about midway on the back stretch. It's like, where's the competition? This horse is going to do exactly what he did a couple of times up at Saratoga, and that's exactly how it played out. Congratulations to the connection. I mean, Jimmy Lawrence and Matt Shearer, they, after the 2 stakes victories, including the Grade 1 Sword Dancer up at Saratoga. I was down in the winner's circle, both of those, and they were clearly very excited, as they should be, and I'm sure they were pretty happy with the results yesterday in the Fort Lauderdale down at Gulfstream.
Yeah, and as you said, at Saratoga, you know, with the dead heat with Channel Maker, and then went wire to wire in the Sword Dancer, you know, Glorious Empire. How many times is this horse going to sneak away paying $17 or plus? And, you know, in the Breeders' Cup, the Breeders' Cup race, kind of knew it was kind of going to be hard for a horse to wire in a Breeders' Cup race, but as you said, no one decided to run with Glorious Empire, and you kind of get that feeling on the far turn, or even before that this horse was gone, and Edgar really just hit Glorious Empire once or twice on the neck, and the horse ran away. So, but High Happy continuously runs well at Gulfstream. You got a fair price with High Happy, a little bit closer to the pace. I think High Happy eventually does run by, but as you said, if no one wants to contest the lead, even though the turf was, you know, you didn't see a wire-to-wire finish on that new turf, you still have to put some pressure on the front runner. But congratulations to Edgar Prado, and usually Julian Leperoux's in the iron. So Edgar came into town and got it done in a $200,000 race. So congratulations there. And again, horse sneaks away on the odds board, paying $17.
23 and change, which is legitimate. Then the 48, 112 and change, 136, and again, you can see at the top of the stretch, kind of had some daylight there. You knew he was going to be tough to reel in when you went back and looked at those 2 races up up at Saratoga. All right, let's go over to Tampa. As I say, I wanted to show World of Trouble. Just it was an interesting spot for this horse. Coming out of the second place finish as the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Jason Service, Michael Dubb and Company in the Michael Dubb, light blue and with the pink here for the Michael Dubb and Company horse, World of Trouble. But 2-1 in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Ran second behind Stormy Liberal. Seems like the horse had found a home on the turf. That said, there were dirt races underneath that were very good, and class-wise just classed up with this bunch, as is evidenced by this stretch run. Number 2, World of Trouble, just runs away and hides from this field. It was a Florida Sire restricted stakes race, so it was kind of a $125,000 workout, and I think the guys have the picture up. I was interested also as I was sitting in here doing OTB Live yesterday after the race. Michael Dubb in town to walk the horse into the winner's circle. So following World of Trouble, cross state over to the Tampa Bay Downs. Michael Dubb obviously happy with that performance yesterday in the Marion County Florida Sire Stakes race at Tampa Bay Downs. And again, class just out it there.
Yeah, you know, looking at that field, you knew Antonio Gallardo and World of Trouble would most likely, and they did win that race. And Jason Service's barn just continuously, every weekend, every time there's a Jason Service horse, I think he's winning 34% of his races, which is just an outstanding and kind of an amazing number there. Because he's been entered in some big races. So his barn, as it has been all 2018, no matter where he puts his horses, they run big races. But as you said, switching from dirt to turf, I didn't think it was an issue, even though World of Trouble did run second in the Tampa Bay Derby behind Quip last year. So, you know, as you said, it's just World of Trouble was going to be very, very tough to beat in that field.
Yeah, just it was a clear class edge on that point. It was a nice little field, though. Old Time Revival is legitimate from the Mid-Atlantic region. Noble Drama was coming off a nice third across state in the Maryland Millions, or in a Sunshine Millions preview race. So there were some legitimate stakes quality performers in there, but not clearly of the level of World of Trouble. Going to be interesting to watch that one as the calendar turns and he becomes a 4-year-old sprinter in 2019. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, do a little handicapping again. Our last segment coming up a little bit later on. KLAUS EBNER from Woodbine, their closing day up there. We'll get a meet recap with KLAUS. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning, Sunday, December 16th. Man, we're fast, a week and a half to Christmas.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Going right along here. And day after Christmas, of course, traditional opening day out at Santa Anita. Closing day also today at Los Al, speaking of Southern California. Yeah. So they take that little break up until that day after Christmas in Santa Anita out there. But again, we're making that transition from the summer, fall tracks into the winter tracks. Another, what do we have, maybe a month and a half for Fairground or for Oaklawn. That's one of my favorites in the wintertime. Oaklawn and a little Tampa Bay. Those are the ones that I kind of key on in the wintertime. So again, we're getting to that time of the year. But tracks that have been open for a while. The actual winter meet, we're about a week into it at Aqueduct. Obviously there wasn't a change of venue, but on the the books, the fall meet at Aqueduct ended with Cigar Mile Day. It was supposed to end the next day, but they had to cancel because of fog. So we're about a week into the fall meet at Aqueduct, and we're a few weeks into the championship meet down at Gulfstream. We'll take a look at some of the racing this afternoon at those two tracks. Sully's going to kick things off looking at race 7 at Gulfstream today. Maiden specials scheduled at 7.5 on the grass.
I went 3, 1, 9, and 10 here. Number 3, I'm taking a shot here with Boston going out for Danny Gargan, and you get Robbie Alvarado aboard. This horse has a ton of speed, and in these maiden races going 7.5 to turn on the grass. It is, number 1, you most likely will get a price home, and number 2, if you get to the lead, it's going to be tough to run out of the money or to get caught here. And Boston's a horse that's going to get to the lead, got to the lead at Keeneland, really kind of I thought really didn't have an excuse to lose that race, finished 4th that day, and 2 starts back, ran a 49-1 from off the pace, so it's tough to catch a horse on the lead running a 49-1 on the half. So I think the cutback in distance, still going 2 turns, will help out Boston in this spot, and Danny Gargan. The number 1 horse, first time starter for Chad Brown. Shadwell is the owner, and Irad Ortiz is going to be aboard. A $350,000 purchase out of Malibu Moon. And the horse has some nice bullet workouts across the page there. December 8th, as you can tell, a really nice bullet. And then some nice works at Monmouth as well. In September at Monmouth went 48-4 breezing, going 4 furlongs, and some nice works in Florida prepping up to this race. 5-1 is a very fair price for nice connections, and obviously the Malibu Moon sire, it makes the 5-1 price very intriguing. The number 9 horse, 7-2 on the morning line. This horse most likely going to go off as your lukewarm favorite in this spot. Edgar Zayas is going to be aboard, and he's sneaky in these 2-turn races as well. This is a horse that showed a nice closing kick last time at Parks. Couldn't get it done going a mile, so perhaps maybe a little bit of a cutback will help this horse out. Horse really didn't do any running at Saratoga at all, and came in from Monmouth after a decent little second place performance there. So 7-2, a little short for me in this spot. Definitely I think you should use in your mix, as Edgar Zayas will have this horse right off the pace. And then the 10 is interesting. Chris Landeros, Indian Wilkes. Great start from Landeros, making the most of his mounts there. This is another horse that should get to the lead and appreciate a little bit of a stretch out, and does have a race under. The horse does have a race over the Gulfstream surface, so a stretch out might help that one out as well. Really nice maiden special weight field, 7.5, 2 turns on the grass. I went 3, 1, 9, and 10 in race number 7 at Gulfstream. So that's going to look at the early pick 4 at Aqueduct, starting with the second race number 2 at Aqueduct. This is a 40 claimer, non-winners to 2 lifetime, going 6 furlongs.
Yeah, the play of the day, if you pick it up via the handicapper support sheet on capitalotv.com, my play of the day is the early pick 4, so I thought I'd go over that and just kind of reiterate my thoughts there. And I'm going to try to get back into the game plan of putting the play of the day on the sheet every day, which normally I would do. The past, I want to say month and a half, maybe a couple of months, it's been a little more hit and miss, just because I've been doing mainly the NYRA circuit. And you look at the card during the day, and the play of the day, I want to find something that I have some confidence in, and oftentimes it would be a turf race, and you just had no confidence they were going to be on the turf. So there were days where I couldn't look at the card and feel like, I got a solid feel here. Even there would be 4 turf races, let's say, and 5 dirt races, and the dirt races just didn't get the juices flowing necessarily. So again, I was kind of picking my spots a little bit with the play of the day, but I'm going to get back into the groove now that we're in the winter meet here, and there is no turf racing. Had the pick 5 play today a couple of days ago that was a nice little hit on the sheet. So we'll play the late pick 4 today, though, or the early pick 4, at Aqueduct. Race number 2. I'm going to go too deep in here. I have it 5, 4, 6, and 3, but on the pick 4 ticket, I'm going to use the 5 and the 4. Change the venue. 4-1 on the morning line for Linda Rice. Question mark here is the layoff. Hasn't been seen since July, but the first couple of races of the career were pretty good. A maiden victory. This horse was claimed out of that one. It was interesting. This horse debuted at Belmont in May for Chad Brown and Klarovich for a 40 tag. Linda Rice jumps in and picks the horse up, and it was a big win. So it looked like a crafty claim. Dropped into a starter allowance in the follow-up and ran an okay third, against winners for the first time. The follow-up to that, however, in a similar starter 50 was a dud, an absolute dud. So there are some question marks on the comeback. Now comes back for the tag, however. Comes back with a first-time gelding symbol. I think this horse could be a player. There are question marks, but might be a player. And because of those questions, maybe that 4-1 morning line will hold up. So we'll get an interesting start perhaps to the pick 4. The more logical contender via the morning line, 9-5, Thunder's Honor, making a class move that puts this horse right in the thick of things. George Weaver trainee steps out of allowance company, and the last buyer number was absolutely solid versus this field, so just may have a class edge on this bunch. So again, in the second, I have it 5, 4, 6, and 3, but on my pick 4 ticket, I will only go too deep, 5 and 4. Race number 9 at Gulfstream Park this afternoon. It is an allowance optional claiming event. Non-winners are 2 other than the condition. 1 mile on the grass, the trip. Your thoughts, Sully, in race number 9 at Gulfstream?
Yeah, this is another tough race on the grass, another tough route race. I went 3, 9, 5, and 4. I think the 1 is interesting as well. Maybe kicking myself. I have Dr. Edgar outside in the mix, and definitely could win this race at 4-1. But I went with Mo Maverick on top. Edgar Zayas is going to be aboard for George Weaver. A $200,000 purchase of Uncle Mo. Horse has really done nothing wrong. Ran in a couple state-bred stakes, and this is a horse that's going back down to Gulfstream Park from New York, and the horse is 2 for 2 over the Gulfstream surface. Loves the distance. Has 3 wins over the distance as well. In the West Point, I used the horse a little bit underneath, and that was the day Carafa won at Saratoga, and then went to Belmont, ran in a state-bred stakes race as well. Ran a distant 4th, and they were going very quick up front on an off-turf course there. With the weather yesterday, it's going to be an off-turf course as well. Probably a good turf course. And this is a horse that raced against much better in New York at Monmouth in some graded stakes and some state-bred stakes. So this is a horse that ran well against Frostmore and came in 4th by 3 that day in the Penn Mile. And also ran well against Yoshida. So this is a horse that's most likely going to get to the lead going back to Gulfstream, where the horse has had a ton of success. In the second spot, went the number 9 horse. That is Gucci Factor, another horse we are familiar with up in New York. This horse lost a state-bred stakes last time out, was flying late that day. A little bit longer of a race. I think the horse gets it done, but they're going to cut the horse back to a mile, so I think Arado Ortiz will have this horse a little bit more forwardly placed for Christophe Clement. A winner of 2 of the last 3, including a state-bred optional claim, an allowance race, and then that state-bred stakes could not get past Black Tide that day. And then the number 5 horse in the 3rd spot, Night Prowler. 9-2 on the morning line. This horse does have a serious closing kick. We saw this horse in the Knickerbocker, a grade 2 event at Belmont Park, and does have a win over this field. So leaving the Chad Brown barn, going into a new barn, this horse does have a serious closing kick. Has ran well against some slow fractions, and then obviously with those quick fractions, even sets Night Prowler up more. So 9-2 is a very fair price with the closing speed here. In the 9th at Gulfstream, I went 3, 9, 5, and 4. Seth's going to look at the 3rd race at Aqueduct. This is a B condition claimer, $25,000, going 1 mile.
And again, we're looking at this in the context of an early pick 4. I have it 8, 2, 6, and 4, but I'm only going to go 3 deep on the pick 4 ticket. My sequence is a 2 by 3 by 3 by 4 sequence. So 8, 2, and 6 on the pick 4 ticket. The number 8 is Admiral Blue. Goes out for Rudy Rodriguez. This is a horse that has shown some real flashes during the career, tossed in with some clunkers as well. But I'm just looking at the numbers this horse tends to throw, and I think they fit in pretty well with this group because this is an additional step of class relief today. It's Rudy, that amount of class relief, and as I say, some back class that I think stacks up well with this bunch. So we'll put Admiral Blue on top. Take it to scale in the second spot. Started the career in the barn of Chad Brown and Klarovich, claimed at Saratoga this year. Subsequently claimed again for $32,000 into the barn of Tony Dutrow out of the barn of Mike Maker. So it's Chad Brown to Mike Maker now, has been in the barn of Tony Dutrow for 3 starts. And the first 2 starts off the claim 3 back, I think were a little bit ambitious. They certainly weren't performances to write home about. So I think at this 25B condition level, probably they're just getting realistic and saying, let's get to a level where this horse can maybe get back to form we saw earlier in the career. And then in the third slot, I'll use Pretentious. Just seems to be in good form right now. Past 3 starts, the buyer number has been moving in the right direction. That should have the horse primed for a good effort this afternoon, again, with a little step of class relief as well. In race number 3 at Aqueduct, I have it 8, 2, 6, and 4, but on the pick 4 ticket, I will use 8, 2, and 6. 10th race at Gulfstream Park this afternoon. Again, Sully's Gulfstream selections available on the website as well. Handicapper support link. I have my entire card at Aqueduct. Sully has Gulfstream. And on the page 2, also it's the Gulfstream Matrix from Brian Addo. So check that out. CapitalOTB.com. Click on the handicapper support link. But race number 10 at Gulfstream, optional claimer, 7 furlongs to trip. Sully, your thoughts on race 10?
In the 10th, I went 1, 5, 2, and 7 here. Number 1 is As Fast As You Can, and this is a horse that ran well in an allowance race. Non-winners of 1 other than last time out, and a winner of 2, a B condition claimer at Keeneland. So this is a horse that is going to be flying on, coming off the pace a little bit. Romero and Mirage is going to be aboard, and the horse does have a little bit of the bug advantage. So I do like As Fast As You Can from the rail. The number 5 horse is Princess Victoria. Irad Ortiz is going to be aboard for Jorge Navarro. Fantastic start to the meet for Jorge Navarro, already winning 17% of his races. And then when you get sprint races with Navarro, you always have a shot here. And this is a horse that keeps switching barns and keeps getting, and so a horse that raced in a stakes race really didn't do any running there. It does fit in nicely in this optional claiming, non-winners of 1. Then the number 2 horse, Tyler Gaffalione, will be sitting right off the pace here with this one, and there is some speed here with the number 6 for Victor Barboza, so I think Tyler Gaffalione pushes the pace just a little bit, and As Fast As You Can, and then Princess Victoria can kind of clean up from those fast fractions. So I do like the number 2 horse and Gaffalione to run in the money here. In the 10th at Gulfstream, I went 1, 5, 2, and 7. Seth's going to finish his pick 4 selections at Aqueduct. The 4th is a state bred maiden race going 5.5 furlongs, and then the 5th race at Aqueduct is a claiming race, a B condition claiming race, going 6 furlongs.
And again, in race 4, I'll go 3 deep. I have it 7, 4, 3, and 9. Show prints on top. First couple of starts of the career were pretty good. The last one was okay. The number was okay. Finishing position not as good, but that was at a stretch out to the mile. I think the cutback is going to prove very beneficial for this one. Nice bullet workout coming in. Show prints on top. Captain Frost, first-time starter for Linda Rice, and London House, a second-time starter from Steve Asmussen. I both think have some potential. London House, it was kind of a dud up at Saratoga in the career debut, but went off at 5-2 that day. So obviously there was a little promise shown. This horse was bought for a decent amount of money at a 2-year-old sale this year. So with some time off in the second start as an Asmussen runner, I think London House will run okay. So again, the 2 underneath are fresh faces or lightly raced, but again, with some potential, I have a feeling. So in race 4 at Aqueduct, I have it 7, 4, 3, and 9, but I'm only going to use the top 3 on the pick 4, 7, 4, and 3. 5th race, I'll go 4 deep. That's the way I like to do it. Don't always do it that way, but if I get to the last leg, I like to be as deep as I can so I have a little shot to feel comfortable. We'll see how that works out. But I have it 1, 2, 3, and 7. Salty Smile on top for Rudy Rodriguez. I think class-wise is going to be a very tough fit with this group. Not invincible, but does get some class relief that should prove very tough. Honey Graham in the second spot. Hasn't been seen since July. That was a nice win. Now comes back in the barn of Gary Gullo, had been in the barn of the late Rick Violette. But I think what we saw at the end of the season, as it were, in July, says this horse could fit well if ready with this group. Tied Up comes in from Finger Lakes, but has run well on the NYRA circuit previously, and Mercurian, I think, has some back numbers that fit. So again, in the 5th at Aqueduct, 1, 2, 3, and 7. And I'll use all of those on the pick 4. And again, if you want the pick 4 ticket laid out a little more graphically, swing by capitalotb.com, pull up the handicappers report link. All right, that gives you some ideas for this afternoon. Klaus may have some ideas at Woodbine as well. We will be joined momentarily by Klaus EBNER from Woodbine. Last day of their 2018 meet. We'll do a little recap and more right after this. Stay tuned.
Dirty windows? Don't do it yourself. Call Clean Image, your window cleaning professionals, and enhance the look of your business or home without the worry. Clean Image pledges nothing less than 100% customer satisfaction. It's guaranteed. Homes, offices, bed and breakfast, vacation homes, and more. Clean Image has cleaned them all. Carpet and floor cleaning, pressure washing, and janitorial services are also available. Call today, 446-1397. That's 446-1397. Online at clean-image.net.
The Game On Dude is just battling them all off. Game On Dude has the lead. Here's Drosselmeyer out of the clouds. Drosselmeyer from nowhere. And Drosselmeyer and Mike Smith have beaten Chantel Sutherland on Game On Dude.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit capitalotb.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System. Never get shut out again.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth MERROW and SULLY CROTTY in the studio. And as promised before the break, our buddy Klaus EBNER from Woodbine on their final day. Klaus, good morning.
Morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. Happy to have you on board to talk a little Woodbine and the 2018 season. Let's just jump right in. Give us a little, in a sentence or two, a recap, your overview, as I say, in a quick couple of words describing the 2018 season.
I think for us, it's been really a season of change, but it's an important change for us. Obviously we've kind of removed the. We started off in April by removing the inner harness course replacing that with a turf course. So, it's all about setting us up for the future. So hopefully next year we'll have both turf courses up and running, and then kind of that's our big goal for next year is to be kind of the hub for turf racing in North America.
And give us a little update on how the last time we were up there, Woodbine Mile Weekend, it looked like the brand new turf course was coming along nicely. What's the situation now, and what are the expectations? I mean, pretty much is that going to be up and running by the beginning of the season?
Possibly, but it really depends. I'm staying
weather-wise.
You guys there, yeah, weather-wise, exactly. So, the safety rails are installed, everything's good to go. So really, plan is to kind of have it, I believe, ready to go in time for the turf racing season, which starts about mid-May, beginning of June. So that's sort of the plan right now. We do have a few big things working on right now in terms of use of that turf course, but I'll kind of leave those for next year right now. So.
All right, let's go to a little recap of the 2018 season. I pulled up the Equibase stats last night, looking on the human side, and Eureka Rosa da Silva clearly running away. Hernandez second, but da Silva 234 wins. Hernandez 167, Contreras 117. So it's a big meet for da Silva. On the trainer side, Norm McKnight with 128, Mark Cassidy with 105, and then A little further back, Kevin Attard and Jim Ensom. But Norm McKnight and Eureka De Silva, obviously big meets. Talk a little bit about the human side up there at Woodbine in this 2018 season.
Yeah, and believe it or not, actually, I'm not sure if you read the story, but Eureka De Silva actually was thinking about retiring at the end of last year. He went through some personal issues. He had a really bad suspension just for an infraction he had at the end of the year, and he was kind of just questioning himself and said, you know what, do I want to continue to do this? Do I want to continue to ride? But he kind of just just set goals for himself of being the king again, I guess he would say at Woodbine, and sure enough, he's done that, and his numbers this year have been outstanding. So, and then on the trainer side, in terms of Norm McKnight, obviously that's one of those gray areas, right, where a lot of people talk about it. It's been in the news a lot, but for the most part, Norm's had a great year, and I think the biggest thing for Norm has been the placement of his horses. So he's claimed horses for, say, for instance, for a 16 tag and drop it in for 10. And it's been a really about placement for him. And also, one of the kind of caveats with that is the fact that he's been using bug riders a lot this year. So for sure, jockeys like the Silver will ride horses for him, but he's leaned a lot on the bug riders, especially Kazuchi Kimura, who's also for apprentice riders had an amazing year. So he'll still have his bug next year until about October, but that combination of Kimura and McKnight has been pretty potent this year.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the bug riders because I think it was our first trip up this year, Queen's Plate weekend. You touted us on Kimura and Fukumoto, both coming in from Japan, and you said watch those. And I'm just looking now again at what I printed up yesterday from Equibase. Kimura 5th as far as wins on the jockey colony up there. So it was a very good season for that apprentice.
Yeah, and again, he should be Apprentice of the Year up here in Canada based on that year. And again, like I said, he's just been. You can see just because it's very different, and as you're all aware, just there's not really any sort of jockey schools here in North America. So both Kimura and Fukumoto came from the JRA jockey program, so they kind of came here as almost a bit of a polished product in a way. Obviously, they still have to refine their riding styles and get used to North America versus Japan, but they've really developed this year both of them to be reliable jockeys, I want to say.
Yeah, so again, it was a nice year up there on the human side of things, but let's shift over to the equine side of things. And again, we made 2 visits up there. I'll have the guys in the control room. They can just do these back to back, but our 2 visits, Queen's Plate, we're going to watch the stretch run here. Wonder Gadot gets it done for Mark Cassie as the 2-1 favorite in a field of 16. A really nice performance by her. And a little bit later, right after the Saratoga meet, we loaded up the car and headed back up to Woodbine for the Woodbine Mile. Oscar Performance looked very good there. Mr. Haverkamp ran second. I like Mr. Haverkamp a little bit of a price yesterday at Gulfstream. Unfortunately disappointed down there, but ran big, again, Woodbine Mile weekend behind Oscar Performance. So these are 2 of obviously the highlights of the year, but what else stood out to you in 2018?
Again, I think it's just been the fact that, we had horses such as, Pink Floyd also continued a bit more of their dominance. But then again, at the end of the year, he kind of stubbed his toe a little bit. And, so it was good to see him come back. And obviously he was defending Horse of the Year, and that was fantastic to see. But, yeah, for us, I think, like you mentioned, two of the highlights being Oscar Performance and Wonder Gadot, and also the fact that, the big question mark for us was whether she's going to come back up to Canada. Because obviously after her effort in the Oaks, we said, well, can we lure her back? And we weren't sure where Mark Cassie's going to go with her. And eventually you brought her back up here. And that's, we're happy about that because obviously it's good to have Canadian breds running in our biggest race of the year. That being the Queen's Plate. Yeah,
and as I say, those are 2 big weekends. They were fun for us, always fun for us to be up there. So we appreciated the invitation, as we always do, and the hospitality, and hopefully it'll happen again in 2019. But Klaus, before we let you go, I was wondering, here on closing day, you have a couple ideas for our viewers this afternoon?
Sure, yeah. So first of all, just to let everyone know, in terms of the pools for offering today, so race 2, early pick 5 will have $50K. Guarantee. Race 4 will have $100K. We've added a late pick 5 in race 7, $100K in race 11 for the late pick 4, and also just a quick reminder that there's a mandatory payout of the jackpot high 5 in race 14 today. So at least for the wager menu, that's what we got there. Some picks for today. I'm really looking at number 1, Giant Pulpit, in the first race. I think he should be a bit of a price. I'm hoping I can get the more in line at 8-1, but he'd probably be a little bit lower, but a bit of a price there. There's a maiden in race 5. That's number 7, Fast Ferry. We're talking about Catherine J. Phillips, and I'm pretty sure that's that was her horse looking at there. And that one's I've heard a bit of buzz on that one in the backstretch. So 12th morning line, but this Catherine J. Phillips, as we both know, knows how to get horses ready to go. And the other horses in the race haven't really, I'd say, impressed me so far. So I want to take a shot with this horse here. So that's 2, and then the other race I was looking at would be the 7th race, and it's a race really devoid of much speed. So I'll focus my bets around the number 10 horse, but also I think the number 9 horse that could be a sneaky play there. Also a horse with some speed, and both of them. Hey, if you can get a 5-2 over 10-1 shot, it's not a bad exact, that's for sure. So
I like that. Appreciate the ideas for this afternoon. Again, give us a reminder on what those seeded pools are.
So again, race 2, early pick 5 at 50,000. Race 4, early pick 4 at 100K. Race 11, early pick 4 at 100K. And again, the mandatory payout in race 14 of the jackpot high five.
I like it. I'm jumping in because I've been saying it all year long. I love the 20-cent increment. You can make kind of a whale-sized ticket. And people worry at 20 cents you're not going to get away with the price. But I have found it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. I was playing while I was in here doing the afternoon program, and I think it was 3 logical horses and a $20 horse kind of completed the pick 4. So you had to search maybe a little bit for the $20 horse, but it wasn't like a crazy horse. As I say, I had it on my ticket, and for 20 cents, I think I got back $150.
Yeah, and I think that the fact today is just you'll notice a lot, and obviously your players will as well, is that pay attention to horses that are wheeling back, because this being the last day of the racing meet, a lot of trainers have re-entered their horses off of, some of them even are 3 to 4 days rest, but some of them are, off of a week's rest, and again, they're just trying to get money to kind of, keep their horses in training either through the year or send them down to Florida or where they're going to go. But this is the last chance for all the trainers and owners to earn money. So just kind of be aware of that, and also the fact that some trainers actually have some really good stats on moving their horses back on short rest.
I like it. Klaus, as always, appreciate the visit. Congratulations to you and everybody up there at Woodbine on a great 2018 season. Again, we appreciated our 2 visits up there, and pass on happy holidays to everybody around the track today.
Yeah, and happy holidays to you guys, especially happy holidays to all the players out there. And again, we can't wait to see you guys up next week, next year. So yeah.
Looking forward to it. Klaus, appreciate it.
All right, thanks guys. Take care. Happy holidays.
Klaus EBNER from Woodbine. Again, their closing day today. That early pick 5 with 50,000 up for grabs. The pick 4s with 100,000. And again, at a 20-cent increment, you can jump in and have a very reasonable ticket, but be playing a whale-sized ticket as well. I like the 20-cent increment.
I'm with you there. So the 20 cents is obviously huge. So you can obviously make a bigger ticket, but if you want to make a smaller ticket, just hit it a couple times, and now you have a 40-cent ticket. So definitely the Woodbine 20 cents. Definitely take advantage of that.
And we appreciate them again. They sponsored us for much of the year.
Right.
Made the switch over as the championship meet at Gulfstream started. They'll take us through the winter, but we appreciate the sponsorship from Woodbine through much of the year, and we appreciate 2 visits. It's fun going up there. The press box is a lot of fun. Right behind the press box, there's kind of a little, I don't know what you would call it, but on the big days, they put a little buffet in that room right behind the press box, so that's nice as well. And it was Queen's Plate weekend. Were you for the big? They actually had a big lunch for us down in the dining room. That was a good spread.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Unfortunately, I was home still, but I went up for the Woodbine Mile,
and then they had the
still
buffet.
Had a really nice spread up there.
But the one in the dining room was like, yikes. What do we do to deserve this? But they treat us very well up there, and we appreciate it to go up and cover some of the big action up there, because, again, they are nice races as well. Even the undercards of the Queen's Plate card, particularly Woodbine Mile card, nice undercard races as well, with a lot of familiar names, too. I mean, they put up the money. Jockeys, trainers were all familiar with come up for those big stakes races. Beyond the names we're familiar with day to day. at Woodbine. All right. Gave out some ideas for today, did a little recap of yesterday, and alerted you closing day at Woodbine. So that wraps things up for Racing Across America for this Sunday edition. Again, want to thank our sponsors of Gulfstream for their sponsorship of this program, some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park, champions start here. Sully, good luck this afternoon.
Good luck to you.
And good luck to all of you. I'll be back in an hour or so with OTB Live. Oh, I should remind you also it's a Sunday, so come on down here to the Clubhouse Racebook because it is an NFL Sunday. Watch all the games and catch all the racing action as well. Just a few more Sundays left. What, a couple more Sundays?
Yeah,
this
it's
season?
winding down. So it's unbelievable.
Swing by, go into the restaurant and have some lunch, or sit at the bar, or grab a table or a carol and enjoy what am I being? Yeah, great. Toys for Tots. Is this the last day or is tomorrow the last day?
The 17th.
17th. Okay, so tomorrow you can still come. But we have a box out in the front lobby. So, it's that time of year. Go to, swing by a Walmart on your way over to the Clubhouse Racebook and buy a toy and drop it unwrapped into the box and make some kids happy at Christmas. It is that time of year. All right, once again, be back in about an hour or so for OTB Live on Sunday afternoon. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in this morning. See you later. All right, very good. Thank you. You want those?
Yeah, can I
got it.
Of Capital Off-Track Betting.